Hello, everyone, and welcome to this conversation series on child safety, trauma, and healing. I'm Kala Natrajan, author, speaker, and someone who is deeply committed to creating an awareness in society about issues which impact the society. Over the years, while interacting with people and listening to their stories, I have realized that child sexual abuse is far more common than people think, and far less spoken about than it should be. These survivors, what they do is they carry that trauma for years and years, which impacts their adulthood also. Marriage, relationships, self-esteem, and they go through emotional struggles. That realization inspired me to write my upcoming book, The Silent Warrior. Through this video series, I want to bring together experts, trauma healers, counselors, therapists who work closely with such victims and survivors so that we can learn from their insights and create greater awareness together in society. So today we have a very special guest, a super coach and a trauma healer, Mr. Abhishek Srivastav. Welcome, Abhishek. How are you doing?
Kala, I'm so good. Thank you so much. Let me first a great
Please
big
add
thank you to
something. You're
you.
doing multiple things. I will not
Yeah,
do
yeah.
justice. Please, you yourself add.
Okay. So I am the founder of Family Excellence Hub. I know all the issues that you spoke are happens in a family environment. Okay. So now the focus is that if we have families who are working as systems in a good way and progressing towards safety, someone there's a place where there's a communication, people are allowed to feel, there's a emotional freedom, people can express themselves, they can say what they are feeling, what they are going through, and that creates a bond and connection between the people up there. So it's not about the individual anymore, it's the family as a unit that need to heal and prosper. So that's why I just created this community-based coaching, which is called the Family Excellence Hub, where I onboard the families, entire families, and work with them towards excellence. So that's a little bit more from my side. That's a
Wonderful,
real big topic.
Abhishek.
Yeah,
I know you
yeah.
are a wonderful trauma healer and you're doing a wonderful job in creating the community which families
Right.
actually need.
Yeah. So yeah, Kala, because I understand that it is not the we never and human never lives in isolation. We always have a family, and if the
Absolutely.
family, yeah, so if we our family is in a better situation, there's spaces for everyone, there's spaces to feel safe, there's spaces to feel emotionally nurtured and cared for, where you get love, connection, relationships, then probably you will do your best. I know that. So the intention is, just because there are only two institutions that shapes a person's life. The one institution you all know is that nothing but the education system, right? We go to schools, we study 15, 16 years, and we go and do a job. The other institution that impacts us for the rest of the life is the family institution, right?
Oh,
Do you
very
realize
true.
that family is an institution, and there's a formal training, research going on and on and on and on, right? On organizations, how people work together, how people work, all those kind of things. But there's a hardly any sense of knowledge or proprietary or a studied methodology that how family should be governing themselves, creating themselves, color. Because what's happening, you will see the facts of the case are so strange. In India, there are 79% of our capital or the wealth is created by family businesses. And
Oh,
only 3% remain there on the field after the fourth generation, after the third generation. And
okay.
70% of the families crash when transferring their wealth from first generation to the second generation. And that's not happens because the market has crashed. That happens because there's a lack of trust and communication between the members in the family itself. So look at the grave. It's a huge financial loss on the country level also as such. So
Mhm.
family as a unit need to deserve that attention, and it is time now that we should work on it. Yeah.
Excellent, Abhishek. So glad to hear. You're really, you
Yeah.
will, I'm sure you'll be creating a big impact on society.
Yeah, pleasure. With your assistance, definitely would.
Abhishek, going further and talking about child sexual abuse now, what are the signs that it shows up in their lives and
Yeah.
which can be made out that this person is undergoing something very harsh or undergoing
Yeah.
child sexual abuse? Are there
Hmm.
any signs?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. See, first of all, let me talk two ways, right? Because there is one party who is the receiver of this sexual abuse, and there's a doer, right? Okay. So when a parents see their child every day, they hug them, they connect with them, they talk to them. First of all, you'll see there's a change shift in their behavior. Somehow they will feel introverted, they'll not connect, they will be lost in their own world. Behavior will change. You'll say something change. Then there will be sleep issues. They'll not be able to sleep properly, right? And
Yes.
if you ask them if you want to connect with them, then they will say that they will not say exactly what's wrong. There's something is wrong, but they won't be able to say what's wrong with him, right? Because most of the child sexual abuse is happens with the children, and in the environment that the children know the perpetrators very well and they trust them, so they don't know exactly there's something wrong, they know for sure, and they don't know how to express this and how to tell what it is. So change in behavior, change in sleep pattern, irritation, mood disturbances, and shouting back, giving reply, something shift a parent should note, and you should not take it lightly. Give the space to the child that I know there's something wrong. Can you say what that something to be, so that the child able to express himself. So that is the first thing. Eating disorders, sleep disorders, mood irritation, all this you will find. And a parent I know is sensitive enough to catch it up. Yeah,
Yeah, in my book too, I've
yeah,
mentioned these things, and it impacts even her adulthood, her
yes,
marriage, etc. So going
yeah.
further,
See,
Abhishek, I would like to ask you, this these
mm,
children carry this trauma even into their adulthood. So what are the
mm,
ways, some of the ways it shows up in their adulthood, in marriage, in relationships?
yeah. So how it affects Kala is the trust issues, first of all, right? Largely these crimes get perpetrated by someone well known to them, someone children trust, and when they receive this, they don't know exactly what's wrong, and there's absolute drop of self-esteem. They experience shame, they experience humiliation in their own minds when they grow up a little bit and they realize what they went through. While it is happening, the children are not able to make much sense of, right? But they grow a little bit and then it attacks their identity, that their
Mm.
identity gets lost, and they who they are. Can they trust someone? Will the people who will they trust on, will they exploit them? What kind of a thing? So there's a lot of drop in self-worth of these people, right? They start feeling that they are less human beings, and their self-confidence drop to another low level, right? So they feel like that if I can be exploited, I can be worked on. People are clever. I don't know who to trust, how to live. And it affects them in multiple ways. The fear, you need courage, the emotion of confidence and courage to lead in life. You need your self worth if you want to do something. So, courage, confidence, and self worth directly impacts your earning ability and your employment potential. Similarly, if you have when you enter into a relationship, that too, relationships are when you feel okay about yourself, you'll also allow the others to be feel okay about themselves. And when that's not the case, the relationship issues start up. People unnecessary. They try to case themselves, not be open out, not able to express ourselves. The moment someone in a real relationship, the husband or wife, they approach each other, they feel a little bit of extreme amount of discomfort because that connects with their old previous trauma that they are going through. So connecting and bonding in the family may also be very challenging for these people. Overall, any kind of trauma, I'll just explain what trauma is. Trauma is something that happened to you, right? Which you are not able to tell out to others. Not only you know it yourself, you're carrying for years onto that, and but you're not able to share with others, right? This is very important thing. In terms of Gabor Mate brings it very clearly the definition of what trauma is, right? So trauma is something that happened to you. You suffered something emotional, psychological pain inside you, physical pain inside you that you have been carrying in your own hearts but never able to expose out to others. You can't tell your parents, you can't tell your spouse, you can't tell anyone, and that eats you up. It's a thing that never get released. It's a thing that's gonna never get absorbed or integrated in your own personality. It never gets processed, right? So that is what trauma is. And trauma, if a person is traumatized, it expresses in so many different forms of mental health issues. A trauma is the base out of which different roots of like depression, anxiety, attention deficit disorders, all different kinds of mental health sprout. The base root cause remains the trauma. So look at this, how multifarious it affects the mental health issue, it affects the relationship issues, it affects the career issues, it also affects the spirituality issues of the people who go through such situations.
Do they also go to the victim mode completely? Because
Yeah.
one or two the survivors whom I met, so they were sharing with me that they are completely victim mindset. And even when they get married, their husbands were physically abusing them because of their victim mindset.
Yeah, so that's true because as I said, that emotion of courage get lost into this, right? They lose the courage to speak out. So when they come into relationship, every kind of a relationship, even with a husband and wife, you have to express what you want and what you don't want. So when people start behaving strangely because of the past traumas, their partners get confused. Their partners get they don't know what to do. So if you don't know what to do, no, others will find something what they will do to you, right? So that's what happens, right? And that leads to victim mindset, right? I cannot help myself. I cannot do anything about myself. All those things come up. So yeah, it needs a emotion of courage to break this out. It needs a lot of support for someone to assist them to have that feeling of courage and confidence to take that next steps to come out of the victimhood. Enough is enough, right? Some people don't reach their enough too early or take a lot of time, right?
Beautifully said. Abhishek, what are some of, I mean, are they, can these people be healed and recovered? What are the ways they can be healed?
Yep. So very interesting part is, Kala, know for sure there is an element inside each one of us that is indestructible. Somewhere there is an element in us that is always luminous. It will never go out. No matter which crime you put the person to be, no matter breaking legs, heads, whatever you may break emotionally. But there's some element, there's a godly element in each one of us that once it always sprouts back. It gets back because that's who you original are. The essence of the spiritual essence of who you are. There's a living God inside each one of us. So yes, definitely there is a people these recover. All they need is support. All they need to understand what they have been bottling in their heart for years and years. They need to find safe spaces to express themselves, to integrate themselves, to allow to give themselves the love that they needed, allow themselves the perspective that they needed to understand it, and a lot of love, whatever that emotion of love, courage, confidence, availability, all those things are needed. When you give those spaces to these people, they start healing very quickly. And then you need to integrate all these, Kala, every kind of a pain that comes to you is a kind of a messenger. It's a kind of a information that you get. So most of the people fight at the level of pain itself. They treat the pain as something they don't want it, right? You know it already, right? So people, if they feel pain about something, they want to side away from it, right? They will not attend to it. They will try to numb it by taking addictive substance and all. But all these pain is a kind of information, and these carries some important. This pain is brings a message. You have to read out that message, and once that message is, you understand, you become aware of what this pain brings me as a message, and then you act on it. You organize your life and you act on the real. That is where you start integrating your that pain into yourself, and you get over those trauma and you heal yourself, right? That's there are number of ways, and the number of depends upon the exact techniques that you may need. That depends upon person to person. Nobody is absolutely just the same thing, same process. It all depends on people's situations and the circumstances. That needs a person to understand a pattern what they are going through, and once you understand the pattern, reveal to themselves that this is what is happening, and encourage them to take an action. That's how the people get cured and healed out of trauma.
Why do these survivors or these victims remain silent for years together, even decades, without sharing with anybody?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So look at this. We haven't the problem is, if we take it a family, how many of us feel safe enough to say what we are going through? The first is that if we bring this thing, the first thing that will be happening is that people who should protect us, hear out, will character assassinate us immediately, right? They will say it's all because of you. That the game of blame game that starts over here, it's not about them, it's about you, right? That the person who suffered, and he suffers doubly at the hands of people blaming them for what happened to them. Nobody is consoling them. So the first thing is to create a safe space where people can express themselves. That's the first thing. As a parent, you should know that you should allow those safe spaces where children can express themselves what they are going through without judgment, without any blame. Secondly, the thing is the emotion of shame and humiliation. That's huge, right? And that is what shame they will bring to themselves, how people will feel, how people will humiliate them, exploit them. That's also another thing that keeps these people for years and years to bottle themselves and not to speak up. And of course, if you see a child as a small child, right, smaller child, right, and the perpetrator is someone in a big enough stature, respected, cared for, revered in the family, right? All of you must have seen that picture called Monsoon Wedding by Meera Nair, right? Where the uncle, there's such a big uncle and a small, he does the sexual child abuse with a small kid of 7 or 9 years or something like that, right? So the stature of the perpetrator is so high that children think that nobody would ever believe me what happened, right? Because every now and then guided, nobody listens to me, and there's not a safe space that if I say I will be protected, I'll say I'll get the beating. So these are the situations that make it very difficult for the victims to open up with their families, to open up with someone who they can trust. Unfortunately, most families are like this.
Yes. Abhishek, going further, I would like to ask you what are the minimum three advices which you will give to parents to so that they can find out the signs of sexual abuse right from childhood and protect the child.
Yes. So, very, very important thing, not just for this child sexual abuse, but any kind of thing, a home needs to be safe environment for everyone, right? There has to be a network of safety. If I am authentic, there should be an environment where people are allowed to be authentic and vulnerable. If I'm vulnerable, I'm not made fun of. If I'm authentic, I can say what I did and what happened to me without fear of consequences on a negative side. All right. And it's very, very important for the parent to stay fully present with their child. It's just not keep busy with your work or with your daily house chores that you don't pay. Children need attention. That the thing is, make safe environment, be fully present with your child, and give them safe spaces to express. Child is so small, they don't know exactly what happened to them, that they but that I want that space to be given by the parents, where a child can say something is wrong with me but I don't know. That space every parent has to create in their family, right? There's something wrong with me but I don't know what. And that is where, if the child is given that freedom to say, of course things will come out, and they will the culture will support them, right? So that is most important. That is what I'm working with my family excellence hub, to create cultures like this in a family where people are authentic, real, so that there's no shame and humiliation, and people can express, be themselves the way they are. That, I think, if that environment is provided, this will not be the case. You should take your
Yeah.
more child more seriously than you do now.
It's very heart-rending to know that, sometimes people, parents don't believe their children because just because the perpetrator is their close relative.
Yeah, it happens. See, Kala, even when they come to know, many people aren't able to do one thing about it, right? Because they don't know how to open up. They don't know how to defend their child. They don't know, means, listen to this, that if supposing some uncle or aunt or whatever the person may be who is perpetrating this crime, that parent may be also losing one of the important significant relationship in the life. Are you seeing this? Because then going forward things will be very different. That relationship is gone and tossed for a life. Most people don't connect back again. Are you seeing? So there's loss everywhere. Loss what happened to child, and loss to what happened to a significant relative, that you will sever the relationship for the rest of the life. No, very few people have the courage to take that stand. And I tell you, we have been talking of victims. What about the mindset and what happens to people who perpetrate these crimes? They are the ones who bear equal consequences in the times to come. They enter into such a shame, guilt kind of a thing, that they also lose their self identity. They also feel so bad inside that for years they will not be able to push themselves up. They will treat that I am the villain, I need to be punished. They will not able to forgive themselves. And if they are not able to forgive themselves, it shows up in how they behave, what they do, how they act. It also destroys one more life. So it's where I'm bringing this out very openly to people, that see, if you are a perpetrator, you are doubly harming yourself. It's not just the momentary pleasure, it's the life that will keep on asking you questions. And believe me, you will be in the biggest difficult situation, because this will lead to trauma. This will lead to trauma, because can you express this, can you say this out, you did that thing to someone else? No. And you will keep it to yourself, and that will traumatize you for the rest of your life. It will show up as depression, anxiety, worry, mental health issues, relationship issues going further. You will be not able to trust your spouses, you will not able to trust people around yourself, and these things will continue. You will keep falling down. So don't does resist all these things. And I also want parents to use appropriate level languages. Sex and sexuality should not be a taboo topics at all, right? It should parents should come out and speak the right language depending on the age at which the child is, so that there's a kind of if you read any novels, any stories, sex and sexualities are the part of a individual being. That's how God has made us up as. So why it should be brushed aside and kept and just not discuss, not just talk out. They are dignified ways of talking about it, about sex and sexuality. There are better ways of talking about it, and there's a better sensitive ways to talk about for with the age related thing, right? You can always say to your child, I'm going to talk about something that may be uncomfortable, but please let me know if you don't want to go beyond that point. And the child
And
will stop you.
I think they should also give information to their children when they are young regarding good touch and bad touch.
100%, yeah. So they should tell that, see that they should made aware of what is a good touch and what is a bad touch. Very, very important topic, right? Because this is where it happens, right? This is the first indication. If you see that Satyamev Jayate by Amir Khan, that has that I like watch all of you to go there and watch that serial up there. That is very beautifully said. Good touch and bad touch, right? You said if you're going out, you should know that how a person is touches you, how a person makes you feel, what is a good touch and what is a bad touch, how to resist this, how to stop it, how to say no. Your no should mean no over there, right? Okay. And for all the results, it is very, very important to, in a sexual relationship, know how to build consensus. Don't act without consensus. That's the dangerous part of it, right? Don't assume consensus. And law is very strict around this part, right? So know your laws. Ignorance of law is no excuse, right? So that's very important thing, right? Okay, the good touch and the bad touch part is really good. People, children should know it, right?
Abhishek, do you think sex education should be a part of the curriculum in schools and colleges?
I think sex education should be a part of everyone's family,
Oh,
right? Yeah. Why should everything be on school, right? Okay. We can talk about sex and sex education inside home. Naturally, children ask where does baby comes from, right? And if you answer them wrongly at that age, when the teenage start, then the sexuality and sex, feeling of sex and all those starts, right? It is the right time to educate them to child. This is what me or my experience. This is what, there are a lot of good books written on the subject, right? You may keep some of the books for children, right? They are very inquisitive, right? Better be that the parent lead the child rather than allowing them to fall the porn and everything is easily available on the internet, right? Children can go and become addicted to it, right? So the information should be provided. You should tell them that you wait for the right age, the right time for this to happen. It's some bodily changes are happening, accept it, enjoy it. But the point is, be ready when your time comes, not before that. Everything, if done in time, is beneficial. Everything done out of time can harm you as well. So these topics should be open out, because in schools, yes, you can talk about it, but I think sex is not a topic that should be taken something as a kind of a subject as such, right? It's a social place to be in. Of course, children who go to study in school, they study biology and all those kind of things. But I am pretty sure that home should be the environment where people should be easily talking about sex and sexuality part. That is the most important thing.
very well said, Abhishek. It was wonderful having you here, and your inputs were really great. I'm sure the audience will get lot of info and they will be educated to this topic of child sexual abuse. Looking forward to having you once again sometime later. And thank you so much. And
Yeah,
thanks for
thank you,
the
Kala, for inviting me, giving me this opportunity to express my views on the good topic. Congratulations to you for writing this book of yours. Many congratulations to you on your other books that must be coming. I'm sure you must be writing the next one. Thank you so much for inviting me
thank you,
here.
Abhishek, and bye.
Bye bye. Take care.
It was wonderful talking to Abhishek and talking about my upcoming book, The Silent Warrior. It, the story is fiction, but it's taken from a real story. And the protagonist here is a girl who undergoes child sexual abuse in her childhood. and carries the trauma even after her marriage, where her marriage breaks because she's unable to connect emotionally with her husband. And what happens at the end? To read my book, to know the ending. Bye, and you rock.